All right, everybody. Packed house tonight. Welcome to Innovate State tonight. My name is Lori Fisher. I'm with the Burgess Institute for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And we are going to welcome tonight Dr. Isil Berkun, founder of DigiFab AI, moderated by our very own Dr. Laurel Offstein, Senior Director of the Burgess Institute. We're going to have about 45 minutes of conversation up here, followed by about 10 minutes of Q&A. So think about those questions that you want to ask Dr. Isil afterwards. And then I want to remind you of a couple upcoming events. The next Innovate State series is going to be on March 25th with Matt Thomas, founding partner of Stealth Startup, and also our Burgess New Venture Challenge is coming up. Our biggest flagship event of the year is happening on April 9th. Come to that event, register for events at eship.msu.edu at Burgess New Venture Challenge. You're going to see 15 of our top entrepreneur startups. They have showcase tables there, and 5 people are going to pitch to win over $50,000. So come to that event. As always, you'll find all of our events at eship.msu.edu because we have a lot more going on before the end of the year. But I want to make sure that we have enough time for this conversation that we're going to have tonight. So welcome, Dr. Isil and Dr. Laurel.
Thanks so much, Lori.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to Innovate State. Thank you for joining us this evening. I am thrilled to be having this conversation with Dr. Isil Berkun, entrepreneur, systems thinker, LinkedIn top voice, and former Intel staff AI engineer. So we'll talk about her journey from Istanbul, Turkey to Michigan State's campus, her decade at Intel, and her transition into entrepreneurship and her insights on AI, technology, and student success. So we have so many students here who, are sitting in the place where you had a lot of time, got to spend some time. So you studied, well, let's go back, actually. I'm gonna take a step back before we do that. You studied engineering throughout your education. So when you were first starting college, what did you think you wanted to do?
Oh, this is a great question. So first of all, I was so fortunate to be with my family who are so passionate about science and engineering. My mom, father, aunt, grandmother, grandfather, everyone was so about like engineering and science. And they happen to be my best friends too. So growing up in such a supportive family gave me the courage to pursue what I wanted in life. And for that, I feel very lucky. So I felt torn between creativity, art, and logic and math. So I was thinking, which way do I go? Because I used to write a lot of poetry and literature and read. And at the same time, I loved math and sciences and engineering. So I thought, well, there's a way where I don't need to pick. And that was engineering, because engineering is beautiful. It has logic, it has systems, it has the art, it has the poetry in it. So I was able to have all of what I wanted. And for that, I feel very grateful. And I consider myself as a polymath to be able to combine all the things I wanted to do in engineering.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Wow, I've never heard engineering explained in that way, and it's really a beautiful thing. Tell us about your time at MSU. What made you choose Michigan State University as a graduate student? Why did you decide to come to Michigan?
I think for that question only we could do 10 series.
Okay, you're going to be here for a while.
I hope you don't have any other appointment right after. But so when I was studying in Istanbul, my master's advisor graduated from a university in Michigan. So Michigan came up as a beautiful state that she kept talking about all the time. So I started looking into universities, and Michigan State, due to its community and the rigor and how how well it was in the academic rank came up, and I chose to be in the, let's say, better university compared to her, Go Green. And so for that, I felt so grateful to be admitted here, being able to study the best from the best professors, and also the community here is phenomenal. Like, I have lived now in a lot of different places, and that gives me a perspective looking back. Like a couple examples, I was in an international coffee hour member, a regular member, and one of those events, they hosted a friendship program where you meet an American family to actually hang out with, and that was 2009. And that was Karen, who picked me up from Owen Hall, just 1 block away, and she's in the audience 17 years later.
I feel like we should applaud that.
So,
that's pretty cool.
Our friendship. So people, and people like that kind of stuck with me, and we became lifelong friends. The community is so supportive. I get to do tours for international students like me, show the campus, show off what I like, because this has been my home. And that was also something I love to do. So every bit of something in every building has something that I carry today to my life.
That's amazing. I even heard that perhaps you can say hello in several different languages. Is this true?
It used to be true.
Okay.
I actually, when I was doing these campus tours, I noticed that when you greet people in their own language, and I have been one, people feel the belonging, and this is your place, and you actually enter from a door that you have not knocked yet. So immediately the shoulders drop, and there's a comfort and relaxation. And for that reason, I learned about a lot of languages at the time to greet people. And it was a phenomenal experience for me. Not only languages, I think if you can start greeting people where they are at in other places, for example, as an entrepreneur, not just language, but when I go to a different manufacturing facility, if I can greet them with their manufacturing process names and defects and all that before I come up and say, this is what I do, that opens a lot of doors. And I love that learning. So that's why I jumped in to learn all those different languages. And to this day, I'm really, really happy. Those are the memories I look back and remember very fondly.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's great advice, I think, even for students as they're seeking jobs, right? To really know a lot about the company, research as much as you can before you go into that interview or into that company, to really show that, as a sign of respect,
Absolutely.
maybe. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, let's turn to your career at Intel. So you were at Intel for 10 years. I'm sure it's an aspiration for many students here to work at Intel someday. Great company. What was that experience like for you? How did you end up there?
Yeah, so when I was studying my PhD in Michigan State, I had the fortune of being able to be guided by the best professor, Professor Tim Hogan, who is also in the audience today. And in his lectures, we referred to a lot of the nanofabrication, microfabrication facilities, and Intel came up a lot as a North Star example of what has been fabricated. And throughout the excellent years of PhD under his amazing guidance, I felt the courage and support to apply to Intel. And I was lucky that I passed all the interviews, very long interviews, and I was accepted to the role that I applied for, which was process engineering.
Okay.
So I started as a process engineer in the factory, where we put the gowns and from the morning to the evening, the white uniforms. And I was responsible from a set of machines there. And I started to ask the question, how does my process affect the end result, which is the yield, which is the successful number of products compared to how many we manufacture. So when I started to ask this question, I actually started answering the task that was not assigned to me, which was how my process will affect the end result. That wasn't in the job description. That's something I took on as a curiosity. And that curiosity led me to one of the high managers. Why don't you then try it in the yield engineering and look at it from a bird eye view, what you're doing. So that gave me an opportunity to apply what I've learned in the yield engineering. And also at the yield engineering, it was a different city. Like Intel is so huge, like such a big scale company that I was glad to be working at. But every company, you learn something new. It's like a different city now, different skills and all that. So after I was doing that, again, I asked myself, how can we look at the predictions with artificial intelligence and machine learning? So that raised the idea, and I started working on it before I get assigned to it. So again, that was a very natural move then, okay, let's work on AI engineering. So I switched to a staff AI position at Intel. So each was a chain of thought that bring everything together. So I always like to suggest, like, if you have a discipline, maybe go sit to another department's talk, because that might inspire you about some things you may not be considering yet, or you may be considering in the future. And that's what happened to me. I was curious and I wanted to do more. Before I was an entrepreneur, I think I was an intrapreneur in the company. So I was coming up with ideas already in the where I was. So that's a mindset I really suggest students to consider.
Well, and AI was probably pretty early then. And so how did you teach yourself about AI? How did you learn about it?
Oh, that's a great question. So when I was a process engineer 10 years ago, I wanted to make the predictions to the end result and took every machine learning and AI course I could find. I remember sometimes I was on call with the pager, and I would still go to the hackathons in the evening until like 10:30, 11. I was so passionate about everything I want to learn. What is out there? What is online or in person? This is before pandemic, so a lot of them was in person too. At a point where I wanted to share that with the world. And one thing I like is by trying new things, I learn to share things when I'm not ready and I'm not perfect. Because I think that experience grows you. So I started sharing and teaching courses, and then I saw there was no LinkedIn Learning at the time, the LinkedIn's university. So it was called Linda back then.
You
remember
heard of
that?
Yeah, lynda.com.
Lynda.com,
right? Yes.
So I saw this opportunity they posted, and I applied for instructor position there. And they looked at what I was already sharing and said, well, this is great. This is what we want. So I started teaching for them by flying to their headquarters in California and working with their amazing audio engineers and all. So we made 10 courses, and I just recorded the 11th one last week.
Oh, wow.
So it was a very long journey. That keeps me on my toes because I have to learn what's new, what's just happened. And it's like a Google Maps. But you put the destination for AI, but the destination changes as you drive. It's that fast. So wherever you catch it is just where I try to be.
Yeah, and I should mention, she has 300,000 learners on LinkedIn Learning. So, I mean, you have a very large following. And so, you have this lynda.com experience that you're still part of.
Yes.
So how did that translate to becoming a top voice on LinkedIn through that?
I actually asked one question for myself. If I was a learner, what would I want to see different from what's already available?
Okay.
And that is a minimal, like getting to the core as quick as we can with metaphors that we can find from other disciplines. So when I put myself in the shoes of the learner, I found out that I can summarize the concepts for different disciplines as well. So I think that what made it very approachable, and that actually opened some doors for me to teach in Columbia University in New York and Portland State University, where I'm at. as well as what I've done at Michigan State as a teaching assistant actually was a big preparation for me. Okay. So that taught me the skills to get up and do the best we can for the students. And the best day is once I receive a message on LinkedIn from like Switzerland was the latest one. I took your course and applied the code into my role and I got a promotion in 6 months.
Oh my goodness.
And that's why I do it.
Like yeah, it's rewarding.
Maybe you may not see the students in the online, but there are some feedbacks that gets back to you. And overall, what is success? I mean, success is the impact, in my opinion, you can do for other people.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to, since we're on the topic of learning, I wanted to ask a couple questions about that. In a 2024 article, you reflected on the importance of systems thinking and interdisciplinary learning. And so can you talk about what should they be thinking? What does that mean, systems learning and interdisciplinary learning?
So what I mean by that is I can start with my own example. My undergrad is in material science engineering. Then my master's is in mechatronics engineering and my PhD is in electrical engineering. And in my startup now, I'm using all of it. So I think one major is an instrument, but if you are only focusing on that, I mean, of course, you need to be deep in one specialization, that is for sure. But adding some other instruments to it, then you can see the orchestra and you can see the whole picture and that music means a lot to you in the end. Whereas if you're looking in one discipline, it's a little bit hard. So by systems, I think, how can you communicate with other majors and other domains to solve a problem, and not boxing yourself into one narrow idea. I mean, getting deep in one thing, but also being open to other things is what I mean by systems thinking. And AI has been actually quite good at that, how we can architecture the AI as a system thinker too. So that is another way of looking at it. But overall, to summarize, I think is the more open you can open up yourself in different topics and majors and be curious, that is how you can be successful.
That's great. Like taking a university-wide minor in entrepreneurship and innovation. Well, I really want to get to your startup, DigiFab. And so after 10 years at Intel, you decided to start your own business. What was the trigger for that? What was the point at which you said, all right, I think I want to go out on my own. There's something I really want to explore.
Yeah, in that 10 years, I get the opportunity to see quite a bit of manufacturing, which was very valuable for me. And then I also, because of my curiosity, I get the opportunity to visit other places and see how they are working on quality control. And I noticed that there's a lot of input that is collected, and this can be any industry, aerospace, energy, automotive. And defects may not be caught as early as perhaps we are able to by utilizing AI and assessing a defect formation risk factor early on, and actually incorporating perhaps a control layer to mitigate or even minimize or reduce the damage of these defects. That way, we might reduce the number of scraps. That means reducing the wasted energy, sustainability, the green environment that comes with it. Once I saw that opportunity and possibility by visiting different manufacturers and being in the industry, I couldn't unsee that. And I wanted to own that problem and go full force with it on DigiFab AI. And that's what we are doing now.
That's amazing. Was it scary at first to take that leap, or do you feel like because of your knowledge, it's still scary?
It is. At first it was, and it still is, because I think there's uncertainty. And what it taught me is that how can I be more comfortable with uncertainty? Okay. And that's something I was not prepared for. And because in companies, you have a big scale, and but in entrepreneurship, you are defining the vision, the challenges you face. One thing is that I've been traveling to conferences and networking with a ton of people and minds. So that's been very enriching. And that's been my support. Maybe support looks different. Sometimes it's your teammates in a big company. Sometimes it's people you don't know. You go to a conference and brainstorm, like a Germany one recently. Form Next was a great example in Frankfurt. So that was really good. And yeah, you constantly find something to hold on to when you're an entrepreneur.
What have been some of the biggest challenges or struggles that you've faced through building your company till now?
Yeah. So sometimes you may be working on a pilot project, but the companies you are working with may have been changed the priorities, changed the course, and that includes the projects also that are upcoming, maybe frozen. The funding resources can change, so you don't see them not necessarily in advance. So when the directions change, how do you stay the course? It's like sailing. How do you shift it when there's wind?
Maybe it's like tacking instead of maybe going in a straight line necessarily.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, similarly, I imagine some students feel really great and confident about AI, and some maybe a little apprehensive, like, it's a little overwhelming. We hear the word so much. So, what would you say? How should we be thinking about technology and AI today?
First of all, I think they're in the best place that they can ever be as a Spartan. I really genuinely think this way. I mean, and I think for AI, as they say in the gym, like the heaviest weight is the front door.
Oh, that's funny. I like that.
I think it's the same. Like once you start building it, start lifting it, it becomes easier. And not just as a coding replacement, I see a lot of the use might be shifting time to time to the coding necessarily, but AI is a great solution architect. When you brainstorm with it and create architectures, systems, rather than having it to do things, you can have it think with you and challenge you, and you can challenge it. So that's how I see the best use of AI. Because we can learn AI today, and then tomorrow it's a different tool set that come up. Yeah. So that changes. But if we can learn the system problem solving, that will remain the same. So I have a 3-step rule that I like to share that helped me also, is that learn, build, show. So maybe taking one course about AI, machine learning, and then build something with it immediately after or during. And then showcasing it in perhaps a GitHub repository or a project folder that you share with the potential employers. That helps you also to systematize your thought process and see where the gaps may be. Because I see a lot of people, I've been there too, are consuming content. But what do we do about the class we watch next month or so? So that is not as, I think, efficient as building something immediately and then showcasing that in a GitHub repo that you have done it. It gives confidence, and it also shows the potential opportunities are there.
I love that. And I think it goes back to what you were saying about you may not feel super confident in what you've produced. Like it may not be this big, beautiful thing that maybe is perfect. Yeah. But the fact that you've learned something, you've tried it, you've tested it, and then you've sort of taken a risk to tell somebody else or show, maybe an employer, maybe it's your professor, maybe it's, a group of people that maybe you're able to kind of demonstrate.
Absolutely.
Look what I learned, look what I did.
Exactly. And once you show up, like that reminded me of a little story here. Okay. When I first came to the Michigan State, we had to take an English course, and I was so scared and like confused what to do. And the staff member from engineering showed up with this giant umbrella. And I've never seen those big umbrellas before. And 3 or 4 of us fit under that umbrella. So once you show up with what you know, with the experiences you have, people like that come with support. And that umbrella became my anchor. When I'm unsure about something, I'm confused, I still go back to that day and to that umbrella. It's a small story, but that stuck with me as a rock. So just showing up means a lot, and building things in AI, and the umbrella will come.
That's a great metaphor. I love that. I can tell that you were a poet and maybe still are. So got these beautiful metaphors.
Thank
So
you.
I think it's a great way to explain so many of your experiences. How do you define success? You've worked at Intel, you've built this great company. So, what does success look like for you?
Yeah, it changes. It might change in the future, but before it was more about titles, like everyone, accomplishing things and ambition, and still is. But what does that ambition do to the other side of the equation? I think so. Those classes, somebody takes them and gets a promotion or gets accepted to a master's program. I think seeing that result is the success for me. So it's going from the other side of the equation back to me rather than going from the driven ambition that I still have as a fuel, but it's not the main goal. For example, in DigiFab, with the number of scraps avoided, how much sustainability we gain, the energy sources with it. I think so long story short is the impact. And second is how much am I learning and expanding? I don't like to sit in the comfort zone. So success means, am I scared now? Am I uncomfortable? Good. So I'm pushing myself. Learning, being curious, and also the third one I can say is the community as I'm doing these things. How can I improve the community around me and get improved by them together as a team? So those three things right now has been my compass for success, and I feel really motivated by them.
That's great. What, speaking of that motivation and that, being uncomfortable to learn, to grow, what advice do you have for students who are in college right now? You've already given them some great advice with the sort of learn, build, show, and just putting themselves out there. But what other advice, having with all your vast experience, do you have?
Yeah, I think there's so many resources available in Michigan State. Always there's a seminar going on for open to other majors. I would choose one different thing every week to go and sit and challenge myself. If you are an electrical engineer major, perhaps sitting in a material science seminar and asking a question, and how can I incorporate this new learning into my work, into my thing, and having multiple options too, like this is what I want to study, this is what I want to do is a good motivation, but you may not have seen what you are passionate about yet. So having an open mind, having multiple options would be a great way of looking at it. And having a system, like looking at it in a bird eye view, like an orchestra, and challenging yourself. In this day, it's much easier to reach to resources now. So there's no excuse, but that comes with noise too at the same time, like picking the quality resources and going with it, building things and learning on the go. Like as they say, like fail fast, fail forward. That's how I think. Because sometimes as perfectionists, we might be looking and waiting until a project is perfect to present. Who knows, maybe when you are presenting it, another teammate might really like it and join you, whom then you may start a business in the future. I mean, things can happen anytime. So I would say go for more opportunities so that there's more of them stay with you.
Yeah, that's great. And there is a lot of noise in terms of the tools. I think, students have so much available to them in terms of online learning or, other kinds of seminars or like online workshops. Are there tools that are there any specific tools that you would recommend to them to kind of as a place to start any, learning marketplaces that you think are especially high quality?
I think in general, the cloud certifications are really universal, like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, if you are in the technical side. is really nice to have. But again, not having those certificates and putting it somewhere is not the goal. It's the what can I do with this learning?
Yeah.
So if you are unsure, you can start on a cloud certificate path. And as you take it, you can ask yourself, what information I can take from here to build something. Then once you build it, you can show it, whether in a GitHub repo or LinkedIn or your class presentation, and it will follow like that. Before you know it, you are in the chain and you're rolling like a wheel.
That's great. Kind of a separate question. Well, it goes along with resources. We always like to ask our guests what books or podcasts or things are your favorites. Like, where do you get inspired?
Oh, there's so many. But I've been really following Anthony Robbins lately. Not lately, actually, for 15, 20 years. But lately, I've been going to the in-person seminars. I've traveled to Dallas and other places to be in the seminars. So Unleash the Power Within is one book I really found motivational. And once I go to the seminar, I was like, I'm an engineer. Like, I don't need a motivational speech. I was really skeptical. Like, give me the logic and the systems, and I don't need to hear things. Like, I need to do things. Until I realized it kind of makes you do things with the teams that you build in those seminars. You look at things in a different way. And a small story I thought I'd never do. I actually thought he has this thing on walking on fire at the end of the 4 days.
Like really walking on fire.
Real fire. And I said, why would I? Like, I need the information and I can take it and use it in my life as is. But you're so into the energy and the metaphor of once you do one hard thing, you can pass this hurdle and come back to it in your mind. If you need to call a client and hesitant, you can call. If you're hesitant about starting a project, you'll come back to this moment and you'll do it. I did it. And I was one of the first people in the line, like among 14,000 people, to actually jump on the fire and walk.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, they prepare it and they have the ice and everything after you step on the ice. But now when I have a hurdle or think, hey, I need to be here in order to do X, Y, Z, and I feel like I'm blocking myself, I'm like, walk on the fire. You are a fire walker.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Did it hurt?
It did for like 10 minutes or so. But the ice they built there is like they really come prepared.
Wow.
So, yeah, it just
You
passes.
are amazing. You are amazing. Well, I thank you so much, and I know the students probably have a lot of questions as well.
Thank you.
So let's give her a round of applause, and we'll open it up for questions. Great.
Hi, first of all, thank you for coming. You mentioned a metaphor that was very impactful about feeling like you're in a car and just watching the destination keep moving and moving, especially in the AI field. I'm an entrepreneur trying to innovate in this space. What would be your recommendation for staying ahead of the game? Feels like every day there's another Fortune 500 company with something really, really special or a new innovation in the field. How does a small business like myself try to innovate?
That's a great question. So this is not an easy answer because it's, I think, challenging for every company to be ahead of the game. But I really find using your unfair advantage really beneficial, like using your major, what you are studying as a base, and then building up on that where you have the domain knowledge and you're solving a problem where nobody else is solving yet, and in the best possible way. And this is all we can do right now, and trying to predict what might be coming next. But sometimes it's not easy, and that's where it comes to the being comfortable with ambiguity is equal to entrepreneurship, is that we have to be comfortable with, yes, another company might in fact come and invent the next thing as we are looking at the Google Maps to go somewhere. They already went, and they are there and building the next thing. So pivoting there, really, really helpful. Like fail fast, fail forward. Okay, if this idea doesn't work, don't be married to the idea. It's not that, okay, we might be passionate about the idea, but if it's not solving a specific problem, then what else I can do adjacent to it? And sometimes change come with a resistance. Like I've invested so much in this field, but there are so many problems that are waiting to be solved. So changing to something that is available and solving it the best you can and showcasing what you have solved. So one step forward than the idea, we have solved it with the following companies and here are the results. Next milestones are this and that.
Yeah, that's great. And who knows, maybe you'll be the one that makes it
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
leads the field. So.
Yeah.
Other questions? Great.
Hi. I just wanted to ask, just from listening to you, you sound like a very people-oriented person, and just the people that have built you up. Obviously, there's people in this room that you've had 17 years of a relationship with. What are the things that you do that you just keep those relationships going? Because obviously, you still don't live with the American family that you had, but like, how do you still hold those relationships?
Yeah, we didn't have a chance to live, but like we hang out a lot. We became friends, and I guess once I meet people, very, very valuable people like that, they're kind of stuck with me for life. They can't get unstuck. I think it's just being genuine, being who you are, and you get to see a lot of people like yourself, and that naturally, I think, makes a bond. I don't think I'm doing anything special. It just comes naturally as well, here in the MSU especially. Like the community here is very special in the world, I think. So here, being here, similarly, Joyce sitting in the conference room, she knows that my first days she picked me up to play soccer with her. Again, another 17-year, very valuable person, Ada, and a lot of people in the room. It's just being, I think, who you are and showcasing like how you want the other people to show you, like behaving in a way that to be behaved, like having empathy, and also challenge. Like I like people who challenges me too, like my thoughts, how I can be better, how I can be. It just happened to be there were many of it in Michigan State. That would be my answer.
Yeah, that's great. Do you do phone calls, email, FaceTime? Like, is there like a particular mode that's helped you to stay connected to people?
Yes, definitely. When I have an idea, I always want to brainstorm, ask, hey, this is what I'm thinking, especially my professor. And
That's great.
Yeah, other things that I like to do, keeping in touch, thinking about them, support them, be the umbrella for people, like the going back to that.
Metaphor. Yeah, great. Thank you. Question over here.
Yes. Hi, Dr. Berkun. So glad to see you come in today. But one thing I wanted to touch on, I think a lot of us can relate to, is that we are in a space, of course, of like a lot of overconsumption, but not only just being exposed to different facets. And a lot of people don't feel like they fit inside of a box or under one title, and they feel kind of not comfortable diving into other spaces, which I'm glad you spoke on. But I would just like to ask you, do you think thinking from systems or logic or allowing yourself freedom of like creativity and curiosity and community has affected your decisions or pivots within your career?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. So what I'm understanding the question is we have a lot of consumption. So when we go to the creation side, does that affect the community, or am I missing something from the question?
Oh, like what does your systems thinking or the freedom of creativity or curiosity, does that affect your decision making when you decide pivoting or diving into certain topics?
Yeah, definitely. So seeing it as a system, like nodes, coming back to your field as a computer science too, is like seeing everything as nodes, and if one node isn't working in the tree, how can I replace this particular node so the system still survives? Like a structure of chain, and those little chains can be replaceable, or even better, when you find a better idea, say a new metal new material discovery, for example, can be very creative and play a huge role in that system thinking when you're building a new product with that maybe more resilient material. Definitely that creativity and system thinking, I think, go hand in hand. Really good question.
Great. Other questions for Dr. Berkun? All right. Oh, yeah, great. Here. Thanks, Annie.
Hello. Hello.
Yep.
Okay. As a person in the AI space and like you're making things and doing things, like you had a very
Hold a
thing.
little
I would
closer.
just what?
Just hold it a little closer.
Okay.
Thank
As a
you.
person in the AI space and working towards a bunch of AI stuff, I would just like to ask your opinion on what are your thoughts on art in AI and how those relate and all that stuff, because that's a very contentious topic right now.
That's a great question. So there's a lot of art design and creativity being done with AI. And in fact, I've been going to some seminars in Portland State from the Faculty of Art discussing this. It's not my domain, so I'm not an expert, but just listening to that, people seem to have two different sides of the coin. Like, I want to keep the human creativity and not want to replace it with AI, but at the same time, the efficiency of AI design, especially in architecture where they have been perhaps working on a project for months, can actually come into play in maybe a few hours. And that some architects have been phrasing that's helping their ecosystem for trying different designs and showcasing it to the customer. But another artist might come up and say, is it replacing me? Like, where am I unique here? So I think there's a balance and policies that are being discussed in that art scene. It's a very touchy, very subjective topic, I think. It has both advantages and also how do we protect the human in the loop.
Yeah, that's a great question. Very controversial and important topic, though. Good. Any other questions?
One thing I can add about like entrepreneurship is like MSU's entrepreneurship is a great resource to pursue. Like one thing that gave me courage is also DigiFab was selected in the Stanford Incubator Program, and that came as a finalist. So when things are ambiguous, I turn back to the entrepreneurship resources and what validated my idea. So being part of incubator programs when you have an idea is really, really helpful. Just I want to add that too.
Thank you. No, it's a great plug. We have a lot of resources at the Burgess Institute, and so if you haven't been connected with us, definitely look at eship.msu.edu and see what we can do with you to help support you now while you're a student, because it's amazing that you had that experience at Stanford and like having that community to go back to both here and there, it's really makes a difference.
Yes,
Thank you
absolutely.
so much,
Thank
Dr.